My sister booked a ski lodge for her real family and left me in the lobby with no room. I said nothing, just called our grandma. 3 days later, my sister lost every trust fund, account, and free ride. The wind hit my face the second the car door opened. Sharp, dry, and colder than I expected. The kind of cold that makes your eyes water even when you're not crying. I stood in front of the lodge for a moment, trying to take it all in. Snow-covered peaks, pristine white trails, the kind of place that ends up on glossy brochures and family Instagram reels. The kind of place I never picked but always showed up to. My name is Maya Whitman. I'm 37. I live in Edinburgh in a tiny stone cottage that smells like coffee and ocean breeze. I hadn't wanted to come to this reunion in the first place. But guilt is a powerful motivator. So here I was, suitcase in hand, waiting to be let into a place I didn't feel entirely welcome in. The front desk girl smiled too brightly. Name, please? Maya Whitman. Checking in for the Sanders family reservation. She typed. Then frowned. I'm sorry, there's no reservation under that name. I gave a tight smile. Try under Claire Sanders. She's my sister. More typing. Her lips pressed into a line. Yes, we have a reservation for Claire Sanders. 2 adults, 2 children. That's it. My stomach sank. There should be another room. She said she was taking care of everything. The woman gave me a sympathetic shrug. I can call her if you'd like. Before I could answer, I heard a laugh behind me. I turned, and there was Claire, perfect as ever, all white puffer jacket and lip gloss, flanked by her husband and their 2 overdressed children. Oh my God, she said, voice way too loud. I didn't think you'd actually come. I stared at her. What does that mean? She shrugged, tossing her blonde curls like she was in a shampoo commercial. I just figured you flake again. Anyway, I only booked for my real family. She motioned toward her husband and kids like they were the cast of a Christmas movie. 4 people. That's it. People in the lobby looked over. A man in ski boots paused mid-step. Claire didn't lower her voice. Sorry, Maya. Maybe next time RSVP earlier, or I don't know, make your own plans. I should have said something. Should have called her out in front of everyone. But I didn't. My face burned, but I nodded once and turned around. The door slid open automatically and the cold hit me again. Outside, the snow was silent. Everything white, clean, untouched. I pulled up my hood, not sure where I was going, just knowing I couldn't stand there any longer. For a moment, I just stood on the steps, heart pounding like I'd sprinted, not been humiliated. Then something in me shifted. Not anger, just clarity. She didn't forget me. She excluded me. And I was done pretending otherwise. I exhaled and walked down the steps, suitcase wheels dragging softly behind me into the snow. My cottage smelled like sea salt and lemon soap when I stepped inside, the way it always did. Not the artificial kind, real lemons. I dropped my suitcase by the door and kicked off my boots, letting the Edinburgh wind slam it shut behind me. I stood in the entryway for a second, coat still on, and let the silence settle around me. No fake smiles. No forced apologies. Just quiet. I should have been used to it by now, being the outsider. But something about Claire's voice at the lodge, the way she called her husband and kids her real family, had scraped something raw in me. I wasn't angry. Not exactly. Just tired. After a few minutes, I peeled off my coat and scarf and went straight to the kitchen. The kettle clicked on automatically. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, waiting for the steam to rise. This was my rhythm. This was home. I'm a senior marine biologist. I've spent the last 14 years building climate models that try to predict what rising ocean temperatures will do to plankton, coral, everything. I work out of a research center near Leith, and most days I'm the last to leave. Not because I have to, but because I care. Nobody ever helped me get here. Not Claire. Not my parents. Not even when I was 19 and applying to universities on a second-hand laptop with a cracked screen. They thought marine biology was cute, like wanting to be a ballerina or an astronaut. You don't actually think you'll get hired for that, do you? My mother had said once, folding laundry like she was doing me a favor. Maybe you should look into something more practical. Claire had already been given a flat in London by then, paid for by Grandma Eleanor. A starter life with a furnished apartment, a new wardrobe, and 2 internships she didn't even apply for. My parents bragged about her constantly. Claire's a natural with people, my dad used to say. She just lights up a room. No one ever said that about me. Except Eleanor. I walked into the living room and sat on the old floral couch she'd left me after she died. I'd had it reupholstered in navy velvet, but the shape was the same. Her shape. The way it dipped slightly in the corner where she used to sit and knit or read her newspaper. Eleanor was the only one who ever believed in me. She helped me pay for grad school. Let me stay in her upstairs flat during my postdoc. Told me, over and over again, don't let people with no depth tell you how far you're allowed to go. Meanwhile, she was bankrolling Claire's lifestyle. My sister didn't even know how many accounts were in her name. Eleanor had set them up when she was a teenager. My parents lived rent-free in one of her properties near Oxford for over a decade. They had the world handed to them. I built mine with my bare hands. The kettle whistled, breaking the silence. I poured the water into my mug and sat back down. Outside, snow was falling softly. Edinburgh snow always felt cleaner than Swiss snow somehow. Less showy. More honest. I sipped my tea slowly, not rushing. I wasn't trying to prove anything anymore. Let them have their ski lodges and curated family photos. I had peace. And a life that was mine. The suitcase was still by the front door when I finally sat down to make the call. I hadn't unpacked yet, hadn't even unzipped it. Somehow I needed to do this first. The phone rang twice before she picked up. Maya, Grandma Eleanor said. Her voice was as even and elegant as always. Hi, Gran, I said softly. You have a minute? I always have time for you, darling. I told her everything. From the moment I walked into that ski lodge lobby to Claire's announcement in front of the entire reception desk. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't cry. I just told her what happened, word for word. When I finished, there was a long silence on the line. I see, she said finally. That was all. No sighing. No dramatic gasps. Just those 2 words, clipped and cold. I didn't want to cause a scene, I added, suddenly unsure why I felt the need to defend myself. No, she said. Of course you didn't. You've always had more grace than the rest of them combined. I sat up straighter. She'd never said that before. Gran, I started, but she cut me off. Leave the rest to me. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even anger, really. It was a promise. She hung up a second later, no goodbye. I stared at the phone in my hand. I didn't know what I expected her to say, maybe something comforting or grandmotherly, but what I got instead felt surgical. Precise. I went upstairs and unpacked slowly. Folded my sweaters back into the drawer. Hung up the only formal dress I brought, just in case. It felt foolish now. I'd actually packed shoes to wear to a family dinner. By the time I sat back down on the couch, my phone was buzzing. Claire. Missed call. Then a text. Claire, wow. You really ran to Gran like a tattletale? What are you, 12? Another buzz. Claire, you just love making everything about you. Then one from my mother. Mom, Claire told me what happened. Honestly, Maya, we're all very disappointed in how you handled things. I blinked at that one. How I handled things. The messages kept coming. Dad, this whole thing is ridiculous. You're creating drama for no reason. We were just trying to have a peaceful family trip. Claire, you've embarrassed us in front of all our guests. Gran was livid. Hope you're happy. I put the phone down. Let it buzz against the cushion. For years, they had me trained like a dog. I was supposed to explain myself. Smooth things over. Apologize for making them uncomfortable. But not this time. I picked up my tea, still warm, and pulled a blanket over my legs. Outside, the snow was falling harder now, tapping gently against the glass. Let them rant. Let them spin the story however they wanted. I wasn't playing along anymore. And the best part? They had no idea what was coming next. By Monday morning, the email started. Claire first, of course. Subject, you need to fix this. She didn't even bother with hi, or hope you're well. Just launched straight into a 3-paragraph tirade about how I'd ruined family traditions and put Gran in a terrible mood in front of everyone. She even said I owed her kids an apology for disrupting their vacation energy. I didn't respond. By lunchtime, another one came, this time from my parents. A joint email. My mother typed it, I could tell. My father's voice was always too soft to come through in writing. Subject, extremely disappointed. Apparently I had humiliated Claire in front of extended family and caused unnecessary tension. They said I should have just let the mix-up go. That my reaction had forced Eleanor to overreact. That line almost made me laugh. Forced Eleanor? No one forced that woman to do anything. Still, I didn't reply. This wasn't new. Claire would lash out. My parents would downplay it. Then someone would guilt-trip me into smoothing it over. The cycle had always ended with me doing the emotional heavy lifting and everyone else moving on like nothing had happened. But something about this time felt different. I opened my laptop and skimmed through my work emails. I had a Zoom meeting later with my research team in Copenhagen, coral decay rates near the equator, something concrete. Something honest. Then I saw it. A new email from Eleanor. Subject. Effective immediately. My chest tightened. I clicked it open, half expecting her to tell me she was disappointed too. But instead it was a short formal announcement. To all members of the Sanders family. Effective immediately, I have suspended all financial support previously extended to Claire Sanders, William Sanders, and Charles and Evelyn Sanders. This includes but is not limited to trust disbursements, housing allowances, tuition accounts, and any auxiliary family stipends. Any further communication regarding financial matters is to be directed to my legal representative. Regards, Eleanor Whitman. I blinked at the screen, then read it again. And again. The email had been sent to everyone. Claire. My parents. My uncle in California. My aunt in Sussex. Everyone who'd ever gotten a check or a favor or a no-interest gift that had never been paid back. And not a single word about me. She hadn't included me in the cut. She hadn't said it directly, but the silence around my name was louder than anything else. I closed my laptop slowly. Outside, the snow was just beginning to melt into the gutters. I could hear the soft plink of it against the drain pipe, a rhythm steady and cold. My phone lit up again. Claire calling this time. I let it ring until it stopped. I wasn't mad. I wasn't smug. I was just done. By Thursday, the voicemails were getting frantic. Claire's first. Maya, I need you to talk to Gran. Please. You don't understand what she's done. The school fees are due next week and William's job is just call me, okay? Please. Then another. This isn't funny anymore. Ellie's gymnastics tuition is non-refundable. Do you want her to quit halfway through the season? Is that what this is about? I didn't answer. I sat at my kitchen table, stirring honey into my tea like I had all the time in the world. The snow outside was mostly gone now, just wet patches of slush clinging to the curb. Next came a message from my mother. Maya, sweetheart. This is getting out of hand. You need to talk to your grandmother and fix this. She listens to you. Your father and I are being punished for something we didn't do. That part actually made me laugh. Something they didn't do? That was exactly the point. They had never done anything. Never defended me. Never questioned Claire. Never said thank you. When I paid for my own degree or paid off the heating bill on their country house after they forgot for 3 months straight. Now suddenly they remembered I existed. Another voicemail from my dad, who almost never called me directly. Maya, your mother's upset. We might have to sell the lake house. Just think about it, okay? He hung up without saying goodbye. I muted my phone and carried my tea to the window seat. The mug was warm against my palms. A small thing but real. I sipped slowly, letting the silence stretch out. Nobody ever expected me to be the quiet one and the strong one. They thought if they left me out I'd come crawling back. That I'd make peace, say I overreacted, and offer to smooth it over for Gran. But I didn't. Because for the first time in my adult life the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. I didn't want revenge. I didn't even want an apology. I just wanted distance. Peace. My own breath uninterrupted. Let them figure it out. Let them scramble and call and guilt and spiral. I had done my part. Now they could do theirs. It started with silence. Claire's Instagram usually flooded with curated snapshots, latte art, yoga poses, weekend ski selfies went dark. No more polished family photos with overfiltered snow. No more captions about living our best life. Her last post was a week old. Just a blurry sunset with a vague caption. Change is uncomfortable but necessary. Then came the text. Not from Claire. From her husband. William, hey. Sorry to bother. You wouldn't happen to know if Eleanor plans to reverse any of this? We've got a situation with some of the cards. I didn't reply. A few hours later he tried again. William. There's a corporate account Claire used for the groceries and travel. Got denied at the store today. Just thought I'd ask. I let the phone buzz quietly on the counter while I refilled my tea. A week after that my mother called. Again. This time she actually left a voicemail with tears in her voice. Not the usual manipulative kind, real ones. We're moving, she said. It's just temporary. A smaller condo closer to the city. The villa's too expensive now and your father. Well, he's not handling it well. I still didn't reply. Instead I made soup. Lentils and carrots and fresh rosemary from the garden. I ate it on the couch with a blanket over my knees, listening to an old jazz playlist Eleanor had once burned for me onto a CD back when I still had a car with a disc player. The next morning I got a package. No note, no return address, just a small square box tied with a dark green ribbon. Inside was a vintage brass compass. Tarnished but beautiful, the kind you see in antique shops behind glass cases. Heavy real. Tucked beneath it was a small ivory card with Eleanor's handwriting, crisp and deliberate. For those who navigate on their own terms. I stared at the words for a long time. No one else would understand what this meant. But I did. She had always known. Even when she kept giving to the others. Even when she played the quiet benefactor. She had seen who I was and what I chose to be. I wasn't her favorite. I was her legacy. I closed the box gently, then placed it on the mantel right next to a photo of us on the beach in Cornwall. I was 21. Sunburned and grinning. She had a hat that kept blowing off in the wind, but she refused to take it off because she said it made her feel pirate-adjacent. That night, I slept deeper than I had in weeks. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was mine. 3 months passed. Edinburgh shook off its winter like a dog after a bath, slowly, then all at once. The sky was still mostly gray, but the mornings were brighter and the gulls returned to the harbor like they'd never left. My life? It didn't just move on. It expanded. The EU greenlit our latest proposal, a multi-year climate modeling initiative focused on coral bleaching in the Indian Ocean. And I wasn't just contributing, I was leading it. I stood in front of a group of young researchers at our office near Leith one morning, presenting a schedule for dive training and model calibration. At the end of the meeting, my intern stayed behind. Her name was Nina. 22. Sharp as hell and never afraid to ask questions. She reminded me of, well, me. Before the quiet armor set in. Do you ever get scared? She asked as we packed up. Of what? Of being the one who's in charge. I smiled. All the time. She blinked. Really? Of course, I said, slipping my laptop into my bag. But I do it anyway. Later that night, I walked past the compass on my mantle and gave it a small tap. Just a habit now. Like people who touch the frame of a photo before leaving the house. That day, I also found a small carved wooden box in my closet while looking for old dive logs. I sat cross-legged on the floor and opened it. Inside was a handmade wooden dolphin I bought years ago at a market in Greece. It was meant for Ellie, Claire's daughter. I'd seen it and thought of her instantly back when she was 5 and still called me Auntie Maya and liked to collect shiny pebbles from the garden. I almost put the dolphin away again. But then I wrapped it in soft tissue and tied it with twine, leaving it on my bookshelf where I could see it. Maybe someday she'd come looking for something more than curated vacations and choreographed apologies. And if she did, I'd have something waiting. The messages from my family had slowed to a trickle. Mostly short, vague things. Claire, hope you're doing okay. Dad, saw something on the news about coral stuff. Sounded cool. Mom, let us know if you're ever in the area. They weren't really apologies. Just softer. Less sharp. I didn't answer most of them. But I didn't block them either. Some silences deserve to stretch. Others just need space to breathe. I looked around my house that evening, papers on the kitchen table, dive charts pinned to the wall, soup warming on the stove, and felt it in my chest. This life wasn't perfect. But it was mine. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like enough. Spring came gently. One morning I stepped outside and the air felt different, softer, more awake. The daffodils by the stone wall had bloomed overnight, shy and bright, like they'd waited until they were sure no frost would chase them back underground. I made a cup of tea and walked down to the shoreline. It wasn't far. Just 15 minutes from my cottage to the rocky beach where the water kissed the land with the same rhythm it always had. A constant. A quiet reminder that some things don't ask for permission to exist. I sat on a flat stone near the edge and pulled my coat tighter around me. Waves rolled in and out, easy and unbothered. I let my breath match the tide. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. Just once. A new email. From Eleanor. No subject line. Just one sentence. Real strength is knowing when to walk away and never looking back. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. There was no need to reply. We both knew what she meant. Back at home, I pulled out a fresh journal from my desk drawer. The kind with thick, unlined pages and a soft leather cover I'd been saving for something that mattered. I wrote slowly. Next year. Submit full grant application by June. Book sabbatical for Maldives fieldwork. Complete deep dive certification. Teach Nina how to code reef projections. Take 3 full days off for no reason at all. I paused. Then added. Keep going. Not out of spite. Not to prove anyone wrong. Just because I could. I closed the journal and set it on the shelf next to the compass. The wooden dolphin was still on the bookshelf too, wrapped neatly in tissue. Waiting. Maybe one day Ellie would find her way to it. Maybe she wouldn't. But that part wasn't mine to control. What I had now was stillness. Not the kind that comes from hiding, but the kind that follows a storm. The kind that hums with quiet power. I poured another cup of tea and curled up in the window seat, watching the sky shift from blue to silver. For once I didn't feel like I had to earn the silence. It belonged to me now. And I planned to keep it.